I'm Ammo, and he's he's not on screen, but he is here. Ammo and Fletzer here for episode 19 of streaming Star Wars, where we get to talk about a lot of fun stuff in Star Wars, predominantly on the streaming front as far as Clone Wars is concerned, because this past Friday we got the first installment of the Siege of Mandalore. But first things first, my counterpart, who cannot be seen, but he will be heard, damn it. He will make sure of that. Pete, how you doing, sir?
I am doing great, man. I thought it was a phenomenal show we just came off of, and just doing the best we can with the all the self isolation is still happening. Still trying to deal with that, but everything, man. I'm glad we got some great Star Wars to watch.
It looks like we got a chance to spend some extra time on Disney Plus today. I was going through social media, and it seems like everybody's watched this episode like 5 times. So I don't know who will be better educated this week, if it's going to be us or those in the live chat. But nonetheless, I think there's a lot to be excited about. And we're testing out a few different things. I got a new setup this week, and so we're working through some things. So we won't see Pete, but we will hear Pete. And I think we can go ahead and maybe dive into live chat, say hi to everybody who's out here. And then we'll get underway with the big takeaways from this new installment of Clone Wars. All right, so we got Jen Boffman, we got JLS Comics, Frammy, Holo Chronicles is in the house, Pete Fletzer, he's the host, that's right, okay. We also have Todd with us in the live chat, joining us, Ms. P, Nick. Oh my gosh, we got a big crowd here tonight on this Saturday night to talk about Clone Wars, and again, this first installment. You know, it's a big deal, Pete, when they have a brand new logo for episodes in the season. You know, the season's been, 7, 8, 9 episodes already. We got a brand new logo, so it's a big deal, right?
Well, you know what else was really interesting to me was the opening with the old school green Lucasfilm Limited image. Right when that first came on, I knew we were in for something really special, and of course the red version of the Clone Wars logo. Funny, my 7-year-old, good old Jack, his response was, "Ew, that looks gross," to the red logo, but it was great. I mean, it didn't start with a quote or anything. It threw us right into it. It felt like we were watching a movie. You know, my first tweet after seeing seeing the episode was, I felt like I walked out of seeing a new Star Wars movie, and it feels like it all came together. So it feels epic, and this episode was certainly epic.
Yeah, it was, and I think that the best observation that I've read was what you were saying as far as how it felt like a movie. It was cinematic, and I don't know if it was you that said this on social media, but someone put it out there that they should take these episodes, re-release them all combined as a theatrical release when we can go back to the theater, and then bookend the series with a theatrical release. And I would say, I just have a hunch here, Pete. I would say that if they were to go back to the movie theater with the Siege of Mandalore, this would be so much more well-received than that initial movie in 2007 or 8, whenever we got that thing. It was kind of a hunk of junk.
It is amazing, actually, how I did see some tweet just recently this evening about it was a screenshot from that first movie, and it was a commentary about how in 2008, when that movie hit, there were so many people that were disappointed with it and didn't like it or didn't even bother to go see it, and now we're all so fully engaged, and we're all depressed that it's gone in 3 weeks. So 2.5 actually, because May 4th is when the finale is going to hit.
Which I love that, by the way, moving that up. I didn't read too much into it. That wasn't always the plan, right? Wasn't it supposed to be every Friday and they moved it up?
Yeah, I think it was supposed to end on the 8th, and they moved it up to May the 4th.
All right, so what are we drinking tonight, Pete? I can see you, and I want to know what's in that wine glass.
You can see me. Oh, it's just it's a Frog's Leap white wine. Again, it's become sort of a tradition during the quarantine time here um, to patronize a local restaurant on a Friday or a Saturday night. And so we did sushi again, our favorite sushi place again. And as I said last week, and it's still true, I can't eat sushi without a lot of white wine. So that's what I'm drinking. What about yourself? You've had busy couple days, and what have you treated yourself to drink?
Yeah, I right now it's a Mick Ultra, keeping it simple. Yeah, I got a new kind of setup here. Don't want to talk about that too much right now, although it seems hard to avoid based on the fact that we can't see your face. But right now you're Darth Maul, and I think that's pretty badass. Um,
That's better than me. Yeah, it looks much better than me.
I'm just teasing. That's not even the point I was making. But no, yeah, just stick with the beer, keeping it simple. I've had like 3 pizzas from Papa John's in the last 2 days, so we're carbing up pretty heavy here on this weekend
Awesome.
here. So yeah, let's get back into the heart of this episode. We've all watched the episode. We're quite aware of the breakdown, but like Pete says, it feels cinematic. That opening battle was exceptional. I kind of had a throwback to like the Battle of Christophas, battles that we've seen already in Clone Wars. Felt kind of
Yep.
similar to that. Um, what did you think about the play between Kenobi and Anakin here, Pete? Because something that I felt a few times was it was like an effort to bridge Anakin of the Clone Wars with Hayden Christensen's Anakin in Revenge of the Sith. There were just certain lines, facial expressions, which again I think the updated um, textures and graphics with season 7, you pick up on that a little bit more with the characters. Am I going in a
Yeah.
weird direction here, or did you feel something similar?
Well, I felt from a design standpoint, I felt like Obi-Wan looked a little bit different. I felt like Obi-Wan looked like a lot closer, I guess, to the Revenge of the Sith Obi-Wan. His hair was a little darker. He had a little bit of gray streak in it. In fact, when I look at my notes, it's the first. This episode impressed me so much. It was the first time I took notes for things because I didn't want to miss certain things to talk about, and that was one of my notes. But it was interesting to me. It almost felt like, and I don't know how you felt about it, but the relationship between Obi-Wan and Anakin felt a little bit different. It's always been sort of oh, there goes Anakin kind of, mindset from Obi-Wan, but it really felt their relationship felt a little bit almost strained. And I don't want to jump too far ahead of you, but the Anakin standing alone against the army with on the bridge felt very much Luke on Crate versus Kylo to me. That jumped out at me.
Yeah, I can totally
What did
see
you
that.
think?
No, I can totally see that. I love that. I guess when I was watching those scenes with Kenobi and Anakin, it was more buddy buddy. I think
Yeah.
that they're trying to make a distinction here that he is the Jedi Knight. Is he on the council at this point? No, he is not. But they are more brotherly, and I like that. Again, trying to enhance the story that we know unfolds. Everything that we can build, everything we can do to enhance that moment when Obi-Wan has a higher ground and has to take down, the early version of Vader, right? Anything to make that more dramatic. And so I think what you're
Yep.
saying is, okay, it's not so much Anakin running away. No, there's Anakin being silly. Anakin's coming in to save Obi-Wan's butt. The 212 or whoever that is
Right.
down there, they're in trouble, and they need Anakin and Cody and the rest of the 501st to come out and save the day. And I
Yep.
really do enjoy that dynamic and was blown away, not just with the relationship development there, but also with Ahsoka. Oh, almost like giddy. Anakin was like giddy to see Ahsoka. And
Yep.
there were a couple exchanges there
Yep.
where it's almost as if he's taken aback by the maturity of Ahsoka, which I really like. And I wonder, Pete, does this play to what you were saying last week? That there could be a time jump between the two episodes because, okay, the last
Oh
episode
my
we
gosh.
see
Yeah.
we
Yeah.
see Ahsoka getting in there with Bo-Katan. Okay, now they're showing up with the Republic, but we're not sure how much time has passed
Right.
between that episode ending and this one starting. Ahsoka struck me as maybe a little bit more mature. I mean, she looked a little bit taller and
So
leaner than the last episode, in my opinion.
Yeah, so I was having a conversation today with Andy Lemire from Chronicles, and he was asking my opinion on that as well. It's very interesting because there's a key phrase that Ahsoka says. She says, "Master, it's been a while." And now, as far as episodes go, it doesn't feel like it's been more than a couple weeks. But I think that line was set there to say it has been a while. We don't know how long it's been since she's been in off the Pike prison planet. It could be months. It could be quite some time. They could have been looking for Maul for quite a while. They've been, working through everything they need to get to this point to have this opportunity to go and extract him. We don't know how long it's been, but I definitely agree. I feel like Ahsoka looks a little bit more, a little older. I don't know if that's really the case or not. Maybe it's that she's not in that jumpsuit or whatever, but she looked older. She seemed much more seasoned and mature, and it seems like she's seen a couple more rough things since the last time she's seen her old master.
Pete, you mentioned Andy from Chronicles. He joins us in the live chat tonight. Always glad to have his support, of course, a good friend of ours. And he says Ahsoka is older, Obi-Wan is older, and Grievous has an updated look here in these last couple of episodes here of the Clone Wars. And Frammy's in
Yep.
the live chat saying that is exactly what Amy said. So I don't know if he's verifying what Chronicles said, but yeah, that just seems like the consensus all the way around is, yeah, you have Obi-Wan looking a little bit more Alec Guinness-like in this episode.
Hmm.
And okay, so I have a tangent that I want to go into, so I'll hold off. I'll be a good boy. Do we take the time now to talk about Ahsoka further? Because I feel like there's a bit to chew on, but I also want to talk about a expanded universe connection that has me at the edge of my seat. I think we should stay focused with Ahsoka. What shall we do,
Yeah,
Captain?
yeah. Yeah, well, actually, before we go there, I want to also point out one more thing, and that is that this episode has done a bunch of things to make you really feel things differently when you watch the movies. I think I said that at one point a couple weeks ago, that the Clone Wars makes you think things and feel things differently about the films. And the part where Obi-Wan literally saves Captain Cody
Mm-hmm.
on the bridge by cutting that missile in half, otherwise Cody was dead. And literally days later, perhaps weeks later,
Okay.
Cody is there to shoot him down when they're on Utapau. So he saves his life and the life of the man who's about to turn on him. And we know that because we've seen the films. But just those sort of things, I think there's a bunch of little setups that we're seeing that are worth calling out because it's very well thought out storytelling, I think. But let's get to your point. I just wanted to pass that along because that was one of those things that struck me on the bridge battle, that it's a it's a sort of a it feels different now than it would have had it just been just a scene in the film, or the scene in the film feels differently now, if
Well,
that
and to
makes
your
sense.
point that you mentioned earlier, you talk about how this episode feels more cinematic. How great of an entrance did Kenobi have, where
Oh yeah.
you're climbing up Kenobi with the blade, and then you see the hilt, and then you pan up and you see a dirty, battered Kenobi who's been thrust into this war. To
Yeah.
me, it just gives another layer of depth. When you think of Alec Guinness in A New Hope, Pete,
Hmm.
and he's talking about the Clone Wars. Okay, yeah. Until we got a chance to see the Clone Wars in 2008 or the micro series in 2003, we had no idea what the hell that was. And yeah, to think of, okay, yeah, Obi-Wan Kenobi, but a young Alec Guinness, battling on the field, like what did that look like? This is another example. Again, giving that context. We know how this plays out. So how can we make it more grand? And
Hmm.
and that's the fun of going back to this series. I think it's interesting because we were talking about last week how we're not quite sure how these episodes are going to line up with Revenge of the Sith. There's going to be some
Hmm.
connection, but here we are talking about how Palpatine is possibly at risk. Grievous is attacking Coruscant. Okay, well, we know how Revenge of the Sith opens up, and there's a reference to Shaak Ti that she's been
Yep.
dispatched to
Yep.
protect Chancellor Palpatine, and so that got me really excited because I'm a fanboy of the micro series. When you were watching that, did that jump out at you? Did you think it was out of place that that she was name dropped and that how that conversation broke out, or did you feel like that was pretty fluid? Because for me, aware of what stories have been told in the past, I was like, that's freaking awesome. But I thought I wonder if that was the same reaction you and everyone else had in the chat.
Yeah, no, I thought I picked up on that. I picked up on it's really I love the fact that we can see that moment when they found out that they were going to have to go into the scene that opens Revenge of the Sith, and the name drop of Shakti I thought was really cool. And then isn't there the deleted scene of her being killed on Grievous's ship, right?
Right, but there's so much. I mean, however much controversy you can really have about a deleted scene, right? But that was deleted, so they didn't say it counted. And then Pablo was like, Anakin killed her, and so there's like
Right.
3 different ways you can view it. But yeah, there is that scene there on it's Grievous's ship, right? And he kills her
Yeah.
right in front of the others.
Yep. Yep. But that's yeah, I get that it's not canon, but but it also you're talking about the are you talking about the Tartovsky series? I'm
Yeah,
probably butchering his name.
no, you're
Yeah.
fine. No one knows how to say it right, I think.
He changes it every time he introduces himself.
He has to. Keeps us on our feet. Yeah, totally talking about that micro series. You know, it was that second season where they went away from the 3-minute little shorts and they were doing like these 20-minute adventures. And you're basically running around the streets of Coruscant with Shakti and an Ithorian Jedi and a Wampa-looking Jedi. I know it wasn't a Wampa, but you know that's what I'm saying. But you know they're running around the streets and they're trying to keep Palpatine safe from Grievous, and it was a lot of fun. And I think it got a lot of people excited watching this episode today and hearing that call out. You know, yeah, there's that deleted scene, but man, there's like 4 episodes where you're running around Coruscant with these characters, and any kind of callback to that, I think, you know, we as fans like, oh, they're definitely referencing this. They might just be using those Jedi just for the sake of the story. But it would be
Sure.
really cool if somehow they were able to weave in, you know, it would be fun if they could weave in that chase across Coruscant. Grievous is on ground. He's tracking down Palpatine. He's, you know, obviously it's all part of the trap by Palpatine trying to lure Anakin and Obi-Wan and, you know, kill Obi-Wan. You know, again, we've seen how Revenge of the Sith plays out, but yeah, I was fanboying really hard because one, you don't realize how cool of a Jedi she was until that micro series.
Right.
We've seen her a little bit in this Clone Wars, but I was at the moon when they referenced it. Was it Gar Saxon, the other Jedi they
Oh
mentioned?
yeah.
So
Well, yeah. Yep. Well, you had him on Mandalore, right?
that's right. Yes. So some just really good stuff there. You know, and I always sing the praises about that micro series, but if there's a scene to see, you know, recreated, I'd love to see Grievous or Mace. You know, all the Jedi were so overpowered in that thing. It'd be kind of funny to see them recreate something like that. The Shakti stuff mentioned was awesome. You know, the timing doesn't work out right, but you know, you had Asajj Ventress in that series as well.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, just
Yep.
a lot of stuff that I really enjoyed. I don't know. I'm going on about it because I enjoyed it that much, and I'm trying to convey that. But am I missing something, Pete? Because there's just this was a rich story we got today. Or
Well,
Friday.
there was a pile of things that I thought were great. I think you know there was somebody mentioned on Twitter, so I can't take credit for it, but I will take credit for saying because you know, hey, why not? I had been talking about how while people while people were complaining about the previous 4 episodes as being filler, um, you know, I had been sticking to my guns and saying that it's really important to see those episodes because you see Ahsoka grow. You see Ahsoka start to make her own decisions. And the way she faces off against Obi-Wan is both heartbreaking and inspirational at the same time. And it wouldn't mean as much if you just saw her walk out of the Jedi Temple at the end of season 5. You don't see her, or whatever season it was, I guess it was season 5. And then I think I'm wrong with that. Anyway, if you see her walk out of the temple and then she sees Obi-Wan again, but she's like got an attitude, it would be lost, right? You wouldn't quite fully understand. Um, you wouldn't fully appreciate what she's been through to get to that point. Clear, and that's another reason why I feel like there's been a bigger time jump than just the week between episodes, because she's also seems to have developed a really close relationship, or at least a respect and camaraderie, with Bo-Katan. And her willingness to do whatever she needs to do to help her is really that's pretty powerful as well. And that's a function of her growth, of her finding her way in the galaxy. So I thought that was great.
So I guess this is where I go, you were right, and I was wrong, and you're pretty, and I'm dumb.
Yeah, I was gonna say, man, you're getting married at some point, so practice those words. You were right. You were right.
And you are, in many ways, my podcast husband. Okay, so yeah. I love everything that you said, and I I would counter on this. Do you really think that she learns how to form a new perspective of the galaxy because of the Martez sisters, or do you think it's the amount of time that she spends with Bo? Because I'm just assuming,
Yeah.
okay, yeah, you're seeing the underworld with the Martez sisters, and
Yep.
you're seeing how the galaxy operates, and I think a lot of the exposure, running around trying to escape from the Pikes, I can see that being a kind of a
Yep.
traumatic, eye-opening experience. That's the beginning of her forming some independent views from the Jedi that she just left.
Yeah.
But I'm going to give more credit
Yep.
to Bo. I mean, do you think I'm fair in saying that?
Yeah, well, no, I think it's a little bit of I think it's definitely a little bit of both. I don't think she completely evolved when she was on Coruscant and dealing with the Pikes. I think that was just sort of a backstory, right? A very important backstory. But yeah, I think that's another reason why I feel like it's been months perhaps since she left the order. I think it's a bigger time jump, because yes, a lot of it seems to have happened to her in that time.
Well,
But
even
I mean, I love the. Go ahead.
I was just going to ask, even though she's there with Bo and they show up on the Republic capital ship, did you get the impression that they had tried looking for help elsewhere, or there was a lot of reluctance on Bo-Katan's part to talk to the Jedi? So I didn't know if I was looking into that, but it just kind of felt like there were some efforts to try and get help elsewhere, and Ahsoka really had to convince Bo that the Jedi or the Republic was really the only option. And that was what confused me. I was trying to figure out, were they asking the Jedi for the help, or were they going to the Republic and the Jedi? Because there's no way the Republic is going to help with that side conflict. And one of the best moments of the episode, I thought, was when Bo-Katan says, "What's another war to you?"
Right, right. Well, we haven't finished this one yet. I thought that was great. um, yeah, I think that there's probably a bit of story there too. That's a gap that, yeah, they probably did try to go to a couple different places. It almost felt like, um, in a way, Ahsoka didn't want to have to go back to them. So, um, it was really eye opening there. I love the way R2 rolled right up to her when she got off the ship. That was, there this episode, um, for an episode that was so full of action and full on crazy adventure, it also had some moments that were just so like touching. Like they literally brought a tear to my eye when she gets back with Rex and his battalion there. It's heart wrenching when even when R2 rolls up to her, and then even the relationship that she had, the way she has to keep Anakin at bay. But you could tell, it's almost, in a way, it's almost like a romantic connection. We know it's not, but it's got that same sort of feel, that kind of, seeing an old girlfriend after a long time, that kind of, yeah, those were good times, but things are different kind of feeling. So
Yeah, I don't know how to relate to that. Didn't have much dating success, but hey, we won't talk about that right now. I totally dig again, that whole Anakin giddy about seeing Ahsoka and how she just really,
yeah,
I'm not here for that. Sorry, I'm not here to really mend anything. I'm here to help out Mandalore. She gets the sabers. She gets, she sees the clones. It just felt there was hesitancy there, and I just, again, for a cartoon, you're just kind of blown away by the emotion conveyed. and to be able to get those lumps in your throat at those various spots, I think it just speaks volumes about the quality. It was worth the wait. I mean, we're going to have an
Yeah.
incredible finale to this series. I'm getting really excited, and I'm not trying to rush the next couple of weeks ahead of us. But my goodness,
Right.
this is already setting up to be an incredible conclusion to this series. And so little of Maul used. I was surprised. I figured he'd be in there a little bit more than just that final, steps out of that sewer whatnot. But it was setting
Yeah.
up. Oh, I mean, it was great. I mean, you had some beautiful shots in this episode, but then you had this like kind of horror vibe, in this underground system of tunnels, and then seeing him come
Yep.
out, the clones get taken out so well. It was just, yeah, dude, it was just like fun.
So
It was just fun Star Wars.
So I have a question from a lore perspective, and I could be this. It may be something that I probably should know it, but I'm a little bit confused about Anakin's desire to capture Maul. That I don't. Has he been a thorn in the side of everybody during the entire Clone Wars, or is this just? It just didn't feel like a connection that I was familiar with. I mean, I guess I would imagine when he and Obi-Wan hear that Maul is still around, and I know that they faced him a couple seasons back, but is he important to the Clone Wars in their opinion? And why would Anakin be willing to pull the Republic resources to go after him? That's something that I'm not clear on.
I could be totally wrong here, but my assumption would be the fact that you had such a conflict in season 5, where Maul kills Satine, you have Death Watch, Mandalore falls in ruin, Obi-Wan is disheartened. Part of the reason why I think you kind of see a grumpier Kenobi, I think, is he's starting to hit that age where he's bitter by the betrayal, and even the mention of, what was the line from Bo? Like, I thought you would have cared or something, referencing
Yeah.
Bo.
I thought Satine meant something too. Yeah.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
So my assumption here, mentioning all of that, is that Kenobi and Anakin have had conversations about what transpired on Mandalore, and there has been, I can't name episodes right off the top, but like, yeah, Maul and Savage Opress were definitely thorns in the Jedi side. I mean, they were killing multiple Jedi, destroying troops, obviously trying to hunt down Kenobi. So I just think that it was probably just another threat that they wanted to alleviate. The urgency,
Yeah.
I guess I was so surprised at, but at the same time, do you think the urgency to go capture Maul is to go capture Maul for Kenobi's sake, or is it to, hey, let's have another adventure, Ahsoka? Let's.
Yeah.
You want to go do this errand?
Yeah,
Okay,
maybe.
let's go do this errand.
I'll do it with you. According to Todd in the chat, thank you, Todd. So it sounds like you're hunting on the right trail there, Dave. Definitely. He says that it's explained in the Son of Dathomir comic, which, by the way, is free on Kindle right now. I've just found that out, so I have downloaded it. I haven't read it yet. It's explained a bit, but they think that Maul and Dooku are Sith Lord and Apprentice. So
Yes.
So somewhere it's important to the Jedi. So it makes sense. But I also like what you're saying as well. Is this is that, hey, Obi-Wan, do you mind if I go and do one more little adventure with my Padawan? So I thought it was great, and I think there were so many great lines in the episode. But to me, my favorite line was when Obi-Wan says, "I've killed him before. He doesn't like to stay dead," or something like that. I thought that was, and it was also a great nod to the fans who
Yes.
were, some people who were like, "How did he come back?" It was sort of like, "Yeah, we get it. We thought we killed him before," and it's just brilliant writing. So.
No, I love that. Thank you for jumping into the chat and letting us know, Todd. I'm embarrassed, Pete. I have the Sons of Dathomir comic behind me right now on my bookshelf, and so I'm kind of embarrassed. I've read that comic. It's fantastic.
We'll have to take it out.
Well, yeah, I'm gonna have to read it again. And again, Son of Dathomir, that is a comic series, kind of like all right, here, I'm gonna turn behind me and make sure I can. What's the damn name of this book? Dark Disciple. There's a couple of books and comics that they made following Clone Wars when it was originally canceled, so they could kind of continue the story that they wanted to tell. So there's some episodes that we're not getting, that if you want more Clone Wars content post the lost episodes, Son of Dathomir for sure. It's a 4-comic miniseries. And then Dark Disciple, you get to follow Asajj Ventress around. I love that conversation, Pete. Like, I really just, that Ahsoka Anakin connection, and it almost like, does Anakin think that if I do this with Ahsoka, I can get her back to the Jedi.
Yeah, yeah, that's a good point. That's a good question. Like, is he wanting to get to that point? Does he want to bring her back? Um, and it was I loved also when they were walking down the hall together and she was still being saluted and she was she was clearly uncomfortable with the situation, which was really great. And to bring it a little bit toward the end of the episode, I thought it was really interesting that they reinforced the Maul's obsession with Obi-Wan Kenobi with the simple line of, you brought the wrong Jedi, and I was expecting Kenobi. I thought that was great. I mean, Maul, which this will close out Maul and Obi-Wan in Rebels, spoiler, that much more
Yes.
satisfyingly. So, so great. So great.
It's a great point to be made. It's that rage which is ultimately Maul's downfall. Because where is he right now in the galaxy, Pete? He's in charge
Right.
of Crimson Dawn. He is controlling
Yep.
the Pike Syndicate. He's controlling the spice mines of Kessel. You just go down the list. Crimson Dawn is running the underworld, and that doesn't satisfy him. He could uh, he could be just as big of a threat to the galaxy as the Hutts are across the galaxy, but he chooses to pick one target. And yeah, 3 moves, man. The same moves that he used on Qui-Gon. He didn't learn
Yep.
his lesson. Oh. Well, that's fine for me to say, right? Like I didn't really spoil anything. It's
No, no, no. Hey,
it's been out there.
this show, if it's been out, we're talking about it. So, yep.
I Yeah, if you haven't learned by now, we don't we have no problem talking spoilers. Maybe I
Right.
shouldn't wait like 35 minutes into a show to make that disclaimer. That's bad form on me. I think this is an interesting question. I want to dive into live chat if that's okay, because we got several
Please,
really
yes.
cool questions. Pete, would we be right? And this is from Frammy. Would we be right in believing this episode contained the final time Ahsoka sees Anakin before his fall?
I think so. I think so. Because didn't she say at some point, last time I saw him, he was running off to save Palpatine or something like that, or he was running off to Coruscant or something like that in Rebels. I have to check that. I seem to remember that, and I love the conversation of good luck versus May the Force be with you. I thought
Yes.
that was a really interesting observation because the last thing she said to him was good luck. It wasn't May the Force be with you. So um, it it draws a really interesting question as to what the Force is. I thought that was eye opening. The episode was full of so many things that I was like, I caught that. That's interesting. What does
S-
that mean?
So
So,
taboo, right? Like in Star Wars,
yeah.
it's so taboo to question the Force. What is luck? There's, it just, it worked on a lot of levels. And while we're talking about connections to Rebels, this is something I never picked up on until recently. They identify Fulcrum in this episode.
Yeah. Yep.
They break that down, which I thought was awesome. To explain that and the connection to Ahsoka, but then
Hmm.
the symbol for Fulcrum in Rebels is what? Do you remember?
I, I don't recall. I don't recall.
They are the symbol for Fulcrum is Ahsoka's forehead skin design,
Ah,
where it's the 2
very
dots
interesting.
and the 2. I never noticed it until the other day when I was looking at, because I kept looking at all the helmets. You know how they did the
Yeah.
the clone trooper design, the
Yep.
501st, and I was like, oh damn, I've seen that before. And then it just, it all connects. I think that's really cool. Um, I don't know. Those are those like little
So
things that I get geeked about.
that was something that confused me. The very first response that Anakin had when he heard about the Fulcrum signal or the Fulcrum channel being used, he thought it was Saw. I thought that was an interesting uh, comment because again, it's tying all the future rebellion, uh, the uh, sort of the future rebellion opportunists or people who engaged together at a very early stage.
Yeah, I guess I have some confusion about that too. All right, so run this by me one more time. You're saying that there's a connection to the early formers of the originators of the rebellion?
Yeah, well, because yeah, when he was, and I'm sure somebody in the chat's gonna help us out with this, but the when he's called by Yularen that he's got to come back to the Star Destroyer and have the conversation because it came in on the Fulcrum channel, or the Fulcrum frequency. And he said, Saw Gerrera. And he said, no, it's somebody else. You have to come here and get it. Those are the wrong words. But
Oh, you're totally
um,
right. You're totally right. I totally
so
missed
he,
that.
so
Yeah. Sorry.
yeah. So I'm just trying to. I'm a little bit in the dark as to, So if Saw was using Fulcrum, were they already using sort of covert agents like a Saw Gerrera at that stage in the Clone Wars, and then Saw, of course, turns against the Empire. So I'm not sure.
Yeah, I think that's a really fun idea to explore. I mean, maybe you're going back. There was a couple episodes where they were on Onderon. They were training Saw
Yep.
and all of them. Uh, and there seemed to be, I can't remember for the life of me, but I thought at the end there was something about, we'd fight again by your side or whatnot. But then, yeah, that
Mhm.
would, yeah, I agree with what you're saying. I think that makes a lot of sense. I'd be interested in how that faction gets connected to like the Padme Amidala and Mon Mothma and Bail Organa crew, because
Yep.
they're obviously the legislators trying to pull away from the conflict of the Republic and the Separatists and trying to make the new thing happen. Really
Hmm.
fascinating. Yeah, I guess I missed that. I heard them mention Saw, but I did not connect. And that would be interesting if there was some other group or rebellion forming using that
Right.
signal. And why would the Jedi have access to it? Would the Republic also have
Yeah.
access to it? I'm not sure.
Hmm. I don't know. Yeah, I thought it was very interesting. I'm glad to. I'm glad I picked that up, and I'm very curious to see if we ever get that answered.
If
But
you think you know the answer to Pete's not mysterious, but Pete's boggling question, please comment down in the live chat. I think that's hell. You could have a whole hour conversation just on that. Want to jump in here to the live? Everyone is just blowing this up. We got Bombad Cast hanging out with us. We got Jesse from Beyond the Blast Doors with us. We have Interforce historian saying that Ahsoka leaving the Jedi Order probably played a part in Anakin questioning the Jedi Order. But when Palpatine's relationship with Anakin got deeper, Anakin began to question the Jedi Order even more. Pete, I think this is a great time to bring this up because when they talk about the capture or the battle over Coruscant and, well, what about Palpatine? Anakin had like an emotional response there. And
yeah.
Obi-Wan was like, I'm sure he's all right, which is, it gives the impression there's like almost like a sense of approval of that relationship. And in Revenge of the Sith, how the Jedi Order were trying to use that relationship to its advantage. So
Hmm.
that would, it honestly, it was kind of awkward to me. I don't know. How did that hit you, that exchange about the fear that something was wrong with Palpatine from Anakin's point of view?
Yeah, I think it was a good sort of first connection, because we would not have we didn't see much of that connection in Attack of the Clones. I mean, we saw the beginnings of it, and this is a real nice kind of connection to the relationship that we saw in Revenge of the Sith. So it didn't. I mean, there were a couple things that felt I don't know if I would say out of character, but I think there was a certain maturity and closer to those Revenge of the Sith characters, versions of the characters that we know in this episode than we'd seen before.
Another good point made here in the live chat, Pete, is from Todd. He says he's referring to Ahsoka and Anakin in this episode. It adds some more weight to that meeting between them and Rebels too, right? When they're on what is it, Dathomir?
Yeah.
And
Yep.
season 2 there, where they're trying to get, they're at the Sith Temple, and the most badass scene ever with Vader cruising down, standing on top of a TIE fighter. Sorry, I'm starting to sweat.
Yeah.
I gotta calm down. I'm starting to sweat. I always pit out more on the left side first than the right, just a little behind. No, I think that's a great point though, Pete, because my God, I mean, oh, that's gonna be great to go back and rewatch that series, because when you have Vader about to kill Ezra, and then you hear
Yep.
Ahsoka in the back, oh my gosh, that's gonna be powerful, man.
Yep. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, because really, this is the last time they see each other. We saw it. We just saw it the last time they see each other.
It's oh God, I really want this series to go beyond the Battle of Coruscant, though. I really think it'd be
Yeah.
insane if this
I
was
think
like
it will.
parallel to.
I think it's so. Here's my totally based on nothing prediction. I think somehow we're going to see Rex have to deal with getting Order 66. Um, and Matt, we'll either see him remove his chip, or we'll learn that he had removed it some other time, or in after seeing some of the stuff that happened with Fives and his buddies, or that. But I think we will see Order 66 happen, and I think we'll see Rex deal with it, because he'll be with. Now, what's really interesting too is the possibility that, since Ahsoka is not a Jedi, she's not a commander in the Republic. If he got Order 66, would he have to shoot her? Because she's not a Jedi
I don't think so.
anymore,
I don't.
right?
Well,
So maybe we'll see how that plays out when Order 66 hits him, when he's supporting her, or she's supporting him as a quote unquote advisor, as they put it in this episode. Um, that may be the reason why she doesn't get blasted by the clones when they get the order.
I think that's a really good point, because also during that episode, she corrects the clones indirectly to Anakin in the hallway, right? She's like, they really shouldn't be saluting me. They shouldn't call me commander. I'm not a Jedi anymore. And
Right.
his response is, well, they respect what you've done in the past for them, and that loyalty won't change. Well, can it change if Order 66 is executed? Obviously, that's the question that you're asking. And I would say on a technicality, it shouldn't, because the clones know that she left. But
Right.
But then you get in that gray area, right, Pete, where it's, well, she was with the Jedi, she's not anymore. She still wields lightsabers. There's like this moral ambiguity with the clone, right? Because it's like you have all these clones. Well, do they have a soul? Are they independent thinkers? Are they just walking programmed beings? And I think that's a wonderful place to explore. I would love, you've mentioned this a few times, being able to see or learn if Rex removes the chip, and I just have a lot of curiosity when it comes to how would he know about that, because when you watch those events play out in the lost episodes, it's how much is he really aware? And I guess there'd have to be a line of clones that were more in the know. Rex ultimately has to find out, and maybe there is a scene where Rex does learn the truth, and I'm just not remembering it. But from my recollection,
wasn't there a scene during the whole Fives arc where they found out that there was a chip, and the Emperor blew it off, and it's like, well, it's a control situation, don't worry about it, and so they were aware of it. I should have researched that before we got on, because I think there was definitely as part of that that arc, they did discover the chip, and but the Emperor even kind of just blew it off. It was weird. It was weird how he just kind of it almost felt like too convenient for him to be able to just, that people believed him too quickly.
Oh no, I think you're absolutely right. Yeah, I'm not quite sure. I'm not quite sure, but that's something that I definitely think that I want to go back and research and bring back to the table next week when we get together. Because that whole, I never was into the idea of like there being like suspense. I don't know. I don't even want to say that, but just, could you have compelling conspiracy or suspense in Star Wars? I mean, at the end of the day, it's wizards with lightsabers and really cool spaceships, right? We always try and simplify it to legitimize our obsession with the series, but yeah, there's a conspiracy, and it's so well done. I mean, it was pretty simple. I mean, I don't know if George Lucas really had it this well thought out 40-something years ago.
I don't think so.
Really able to, play it up quite a bit in the 6 seasons with this show. But, yeah, I want to go and dive into that, because I don't fully remember Rex's knowledge. But, yeah, I mean, if listen, give it a PG-13 rating. Let's see him cut open his head. Let's get that chip out. Let's really elevate the gruesomeness of the show.
Well, we've certainly seen more violence. I mean, the death scenes of the clone troopers, the screaming you heard in the hallways as she was going down underneath in the tunnels, was vicious. It was it was adult level suspense. And then when Captain Vaughn dies holding her hand.
Oh yeah, well, and just like when okay, I cannot believe we didn't mention this. and I understand why we didn't mention this, is because we really try not to do oh, this happened, then this happened, this happened, this happened.
Right,
And then by
right.
the end of the show, it's like, well, all we talked about was exactly what we've already watched. But Ahsoka jumping from ship to ship, slashing up jetpacks, slicing up Mandos, like
Yep.
it was art. It was beautiful. I cried with tears of joy.
Yeah, yeah. And the music was epic. The music was very similar, in my opinion, to the very beginning of Revenge of the Sith. Very similar kind of epic music. And maybe I'm just hearing things, but I heard a little Ray, tiny Ray theme when she landed on the platform. Very little reference to it. And I watched the episode a couple times, and I heard it every time I watched it. It's subtle, and it probably isn't. It's probably just just random couple notes that fit together that kind of reminded me of it. But I definitely felt like the music of this episode, once again, Kevin Kiner just knocks it out of the park.
He is the best, and for all the reasons you mentioned before, right? It's the fact that he's able to take those original themes from John Williams, put his own vibe to it, but not feel like he's copycatting, but he is expanding the catalog, and it is beautiful. I'm not trying to jump the gun here. Haven't even hit our hour mark that we hit here on Streaming Star Wars with Amo and Fletzer, but I do want to talk about the fact that we have 3 more episodes to go. We know
Yep.
air dates, and we have titles now, which I think is very interesting. So we got
We do. Look at that.
yeah, Old Friends Not Forgotten. That was the episode we got just this week. Next
Mhm.
week we get The Phantom Apprentice, which is April 24th. After
I love
that,
name.
oh, it's the play here. Like Together Again, a couple episodes back. Old Friends Not Forgotten. For this week's episode was fantastic. Shattered, episode 11, drops May 1st. And then 3 days later, you get Victory and Death on May the 4th.
Oof.
Well,
Wow.
I guess I say that title, Pete. Let's have a conversation. Victory and Death.
Oof.
Who's the victor and who's dying?
Yeah. Well, we know Ahsoka doesn't die. We know all the big characters don't die. So the only thing I can think of is that it's Order 66. It's got to be.
I want it.
It's got to be.
What a great title, Victory and Death, because then it's victory for the bad guys. It's death for the good guys. It's, oh my gosh, that would be, I mean, obviously, unfortunately, we don't have episode descriptions yet. That would be too convenient right now. Right, because it has to be so much larger than just one person. But listen, if I can have my cake and eat it too, I want it to be Order 66, like you said. But then I definitely, the Siege of Mandalore happening simultaneously with the end of the Clone Wars. I think it's just the entire galaxy in chaos, man. I would love that. I would really enjoy that. And then I want to know, how does Maul get away at the end of this? Because that's something we haven't had to answer. We just know that he and Ahsoka duel. Does he die again?
That was my first thought when I saw the title. I hope not. I mean, that would be. I think he just gets away. I think he just gets, or maybe he thinks he kills Ahsoka, and maybe they think she's dead or something. I don't know. I have no idea. I literally have no way of knowing, or no guess. I have no guess at all.
Well, let me tell you, if you had a way of knowing, your payroll would be a lot higher on this show. Let me tell you,
This is true.
I'd be paying you a lot more,
true.
giving you some whiskeys too. If you have an idea of who or what happens, just based on that title alone, Victory and Death, give us your best guess in the live chat. We want to know if you think that Order 66 truly is the great finale. Frammy says, would Order 66 fit better with the Shattered episode 11?
That could be.
That would be interesting because what? 4 days after the Battle of Coruscant is Order 66, we believe. So we don't see much beyond that. I mean, once Order 66 happens, we specifically follow Anakin to Mustafar. Obi-Wan goes to pursue. Sure, Palpatine takes over as Emperor, but that kind of makes my imagination one really wild because, that's a bit of the story we haven't seen. I guess you could go to Charles Soule's Vader comic, and the first couple there, you see that the Inquisitors invade the Jedi Temple. They burn all the lightsabers. They're trying to defame their image in the core worlds. But to be able to see, I don't know, visually that told on screen, that would be awesome if we got Order 66 just that week. That episode before. Maybe I'm being ridiculous.
Yeah. No, I mean, that's kind of the way streaming episodes or streaming series go. Is the second to last is the big one, and then the last is sort of a wrap up. So you could see that happening. I could see Shattered as Order 66. I think that's not a bad guess.
Okay, so here's something that I didn't know. Or maybe I did know and I couldn't remember, Pete. But according to Jesse in the live chat, in the Ahsoka novel, Rex and Ahsoka fake their deaths.
Yes. So maybe we'll see that.
Spoiler alert? I'm not sure.
I don't know. But I think it's referenced early on in the book. So
okay, yeah, I completely missed that.
Interesting. Yeah, I think we're gonna see. They do need to find a way to get out so that they're off the radar, both of them, right? Because Rex was out on his walker somewhere when they found him in Rebels, and Ahsoka went off to become Fulcrum. Maybe she goes off and joins Saw Gerrera.
I just saw this in the live chat, and I don't know what you think about this, but do you think that Ahsoka's look is tweaked now to look more like Rosario Dawson? Did you see that? There's some scuttlebutt in the live chat about that.
I don't know. I don't think so.
Weren't these episodes made like a year and a half ago? Like,
yeah, this was made quite some time ago. We don't know how long ago they've. Although some of the quotes from Rosario this past week about her saying, "I can't wait till we can confirm that, but we can't confirm it now," or something like that. So maybe they've known for a while, but I don't see it.
Well, and
I don't see it.
I guess I'm jumping all over the place. I think this was a rumor, but I think there's new. Well, there was Joby Harold that was picked up to write for Disney Plus, but isn't there like another change with the rewrites? I think it was just.
I don't know.
I think it was just Joby. Yeah, Joby's still writing it, but there was a rumor that broke earlier this week that there was like another writer hired. Like Joby lost the job; they already hired someone else new, and that's not the case. It's still Joby from what we know. We just hope to God we get to see that series. But hey, you know what? That's okay. Let's just focus on one Star Wars show for a week. We can do that. I think it's okay if we just do that. I think it's been an awesome conversation tonight, Pete. Is there anything that we feel we haven't gotten down there about this episode? I mean, a lot of emotion, great character depth. We got classic lines, new quotable lines that we'll quote. Until the day we can't watch these movies anymore. Just a really great story told in 22 minutes.
Yeah, I was impressed with how much they jammed into it. But yeah, I thought no, I don't think there's much more to add. I think we just the fact that it has already set up a completely different feeling as you go into Revenge of the Sith, and just to see that interplay. And again, this is the last time that she'll see those guys. So. And we got just a little taste of Maul. I think we're going to see a lot of Maul next week. So I'm very excited about that.
Adam is in the live chat, and he says, things are moving faster than I thought they would with this last arc and make me think we are getting to 66, Order 66, that is, sooner than later. And yeah, I think we agree with you, Adam, that we're going to see it. I think that we're both thinking either that, very last episode or the episode before episode 11. And Pete, before we wrap this up, I am kind of curious. It's an element that usually I'm joking about your parenting, and I do because I do respect you as a parent. I think you got some pretty cool kids. But what is it like watching with Jack, and like how he interpreted this episode? What was it like seeing the show this week through his eyes?
Well, it's interesting because he is all in on clones, right? So anything related. So he was not a big fan of the last 4 episodes. He was curious about when those Mandalorians showed up, but he was not that into those last episodes. This one, from the opening second, he was riveted. It was like, I think it played to him a lot like Revenge of the Sith. I think it was action packed, and he got to see his clones in action, and clones and Mandalorians in red and Mandalorians in blue. It was every, look, when we were kids, if we get to see this, can you imagine that? That's what it was like for him. And so hanging out with him, watching it was really cool.
Uh, that makes me so happy, and I think it's really important that I think it's really important that we make time to always bring that up because I think it's that perspective. The point that I'm trying to make here, we all get to digest Star Wars for the first time when we're, I don't know, kids or whatnot. But then, we, as we age, we become more cynical about the whole thing. And I just love hearing you talking about Star Wars through your child's eyes because I just feel like the imperfect is still perfect to them, and even,
Yeah.
even if he didn't like those last 4 episodes, it's still Star Wars. He still consumed it, still liked it. And,
Yeah.
to your point, you're able to point out to him that, well, because those 4 episodes, now you understand maybe why Ahsoka is talking to Obi-Wan this way. And I think as much as we talk about the stories and how they entertain us, I think it's just as important as that relationship developing, for example, between you and your son, because that's what this Star Wars is. It's a soap opera. That's what Lucas called it in the very beginning. And so
Yeah.
I just always want to I think that's what separates, I'd like to think that's one of the things that separate our conversation is because I think we take it beyond just what's happening on screen. And I think that's really cool that you get to have that relationship with him. I thought we were going to get out of here, Pete, but people are now throwing stuff here in the live chat that I think we should address. Adam comes
Sure.
in here. Is Ray already mocapping Maul in these episodes, or is it only the final fight? Because he looks like he even walks differently now. My understanding was they brought him in for the fights, for the fight choreography.
Okay.
I do not believe that Ray is just walking around as the character. I think they specifically wanted his movements for this final battle between Maul and Ahsoka. Have you read or heard differently, Pete? I'm going off of what I learned at Star Wars Celebration last April.
Yeah, I mean, to my knowledge, it's just the fight scenes, and maybe they're consciously managing his walk because technically, he might be on his new legs since the last time we saw him in Clone Wars. So, yeah, I think they're consciously drawing him and animating him with a slightly different walk. But I haven't heard that he was anything more than just the fight scenes.
Love having him involved, just where they can, right? He got a lot of hate, and it was, I think, undeserved at the end of Solo. I thought it was a cool cameo. And then
Oh, I loved it.
people are like, well, he doesn't even look the same. He looked fat. It's like, yeah, do you look exactly like you did 25 years ago, you prick? I was so
I mean,
baffled by that.
he's been through. By the time you get to Solo, all this. Look what he's going through right now.
Oh,
So
yeah.
forget it.
Well, I want to
Yeah.
know eventually on the timeline, Pete, pinned down, where is Solo? I mean, it's kind of the same era, I guess. Maybe it's, well, no, it'd be about right now. Where does that line up?
Solo?
Because Maul's already got Crimson Dawn going.
Yeah, but Solo is during the Empire
Oh, duh.
era.
Yeah, I'm an idiot.
So
Why did I say that out
it's
loud?
okay.
A
It's all right.
stupid
I'll
deal.
edit it out of the audio version. It's fine. I'll
No,
cover you.
no, you can leave it. You can show my flaws. I'm imperfect.
Yeah, I'm not gonna edit it.
Glad I know he has my back tonight, everybody, on Streaming Star Wars episode 19. Took 19 episodes for him to throw me on the bus like that. Dale Erdman says, I think he just got his legs replaced after Mother Talzin replaced his spider legs. But he's had these regular legs for a while. I'm not quite sure because, I mean, yeah, he gets the spider legs fixed, and then he has all those adventures with Savage. So I think that happened a while ago.
Right.
Yeah, I'm not quite sure. I'm again pretty confident that Ray's just in there for the dueling. Which, can you imagine that? I'm assuming that's next week's episode.
I think so. Yeah, I mean, it's got to be right. He's not. Yeah, I would think so.
It's going to be pretty good. Bombad cast in the live chat. Maul is a crime boss. He's got that Tony Soprano bod. Hey, you don't have to be overweight to be whatever.
That's funny.
That's good stuff. Episode 19, Streaming Stars with Eamon and Fletzer. Pete, anything going on out of the usual we should talk about? Anything?
No, not really. You got
No.
any? Is Behind the Blast Doors gonna be? Well, you're not gonna be live with that this weekend because it's already Saturday night. Are you going to do anything this weekend with that?
Beyond the Blast Doors is gearing up for a lot. There's a lot
Okay,
going on. We're gearing up. We'll figure it out. We'll tell the good people. I'm not
awesome.
really good at teasing, and I have a few women tell me that I'm not good at foreplay, which is the same thing. So, what I'm doing is basically saying that I'm really excited. There's going to be something that drops maybe in the next couple of weeks, and
Okay,
we'll talk about it then. And
awesome.
I'm really bad at teasing. I think I've gotten better at foreplay. I don't know if this is the appropriate time to bring that up, but I just I'm trying to get better at this teasing thing. Deep teasing. See, deep teasing sounds inappropriate, but that's a term I use in my profession all the time. Deep teasing.
Well, yes, you're teasing
deep.
a news story. You're trying to
Yeah.
get eyeballs, which is another weird, thing to say to somebody, especially
Keep your eyeballs off my
just
deep tease.
right. Yeah,
Kidding.
no, it's well, good. Well, I'm glad that there's some stuff happening for around the galaxy this week. We have a couple of really awesome shows coming up, and we're going to start this week. I don't know if those of you who are fans of um, Shadows of the Empire. There's a kid. I call him a kid because he's literally 20 years old, and he is creating a fan film series for Shadows of the Empire. I had a conversation with him, and I can say it now for April 30th, on the 21st birthday of the first Star Wars celebration. I have a very special Around the Galaxy episode with Scott Chernoff and Dan Madsen, who were both instrumental in bringing Celebration 1 to life. And it's one of those great opportunities where I interviewed somebody and just kind of sat back and let those two guys talk to each other and listen to it. And I think everybody who has ever been to a celebration or that celebration, in particular in 1999, are just going to love it. Just a fun conversation. Two phenomenal guys. They'd been on the show before separately, but I brought them together just to chat about that. So that'll drop on April 30th, the day of the 21st birthday of Star Wars Celebration, and I also have a Star Wars author coming up in a couple of weeks. So
Yeah, you do, big guy. I know who it is. I'm not allowed to say though. Dang it! It's gonna be freaking awesome. Something that I like that you've done with recent episodes, Pete, is that obviously your show is podcast first, but you're starting to do more video stuff. Any of these future episodes, or is there going to be a video component? Are you able to share that?
Yeah, well, one of the things I'm trying to do is I use a video software to record all my episodes now. I used to just do audio, and so I have just about every one of the interviews I've done for the last 3 or 4 months done on video, but I just put out the audio. What I'm going to start doing is I'm going to start making every episode moving forward available on video, including the one this upcoming week with the gentleman from who's doing the Shadows of the Empire movie. I'll start this week. Every Around the Galaxy will be available on video. So
Awesome. Looking forward to all that content. And yeah, if we haven't said it already, you're coming up on a 1-year anniversary for Around the Galaxy here soon,
yeah.
right?
April 22nd, I think, was our very first episode. So it's been a year, and we've got something like 62, 63 episodes, plus all these great streaming Star Wars episodes that are in there, a couple of one-offs, things like that. So it's I can't believe it's been a year. It's been wild, and it's just been a blast getting to know like all the people who are in the chat right now, and of course working with you and getting to do this show and a couple other fun things we have in mind coming up in the very near future. So
There
that's as
he
good
is.
as I'm going to get as a tease.
Deep
I'll stop.
teasing.
Yeah, but
Deep
yeah,
teasing.
I'm deep teasing. That's what I do. That's what they call me, actually, the deep teaser. It's a little bit.
Oh,
It's a
I thought
little
you were going to go with
uncomfortable.
like Pete the Deep Tease Fletzer, which would be kind of like a gross name to have around on a college campus. Well, you know about that Fletzer guy, Deep Tease. Let me tell you. Like, what the hell does that mean? Everyone's sitting around, they're guessing.
Yeah.
How long is the Deep Tease? Anyways, no, I'm really excited. Yeah, and I guess I know what's going to happen in a couple weeks. You know what's going to happen in a couple weeks. It's going to be pretty cool. But hey, you know what?
Awesome.
Beyond the Blast Doors, 3.0. We've been talking about it on Twitter for a little bit. Who knows what that's going to look like? But yeah, it's just a crazy time, and I want to say thanks to Pete because he's been patient with me the last couple of hours, the last 48 hours especially. Got a lot of big, some life changes happening here, and I'm not in a position to say exactly what that is right now, but I'm really excited about what's next professionally, personally. Here with the podcast, what I do with Pete on the regular, and I think that there's a lot of fun, and I can start telling you what's going on after Monday, and then we're gonna get Beyond the Blast Doors, a new episode next week, which is really exciting.
Good.
It's going to be pretty straightforward, nothing too fancy, and then we ramp it up. And I think, well, you'll know in due time what we're referring to. But I bring it up one more time just because this has been a long time waiting. It's going to be a lot of fun, a lot of beautiful people involved, and maybe our cameras will work that day. I mean, we hope. I mean, that's what we hope. We'll hope. Let me tell you,
We
though,
don't want to make any promises. Though,
we don't want to make any promises. Here on Streaming Star Wars with Ammo and Fletzer, it's Ammo's responsibility to turn the cameras on for Fletzer, and Fletzer didn't have a camera today, and so I worked around it. The best I could. He was not happy with me. I wish I could have taken.
Just fine.
I should have taken a photo of your beautiful face right before we went live. You were so pissed off. It was like
no,
it was like your son took like the good china out of the cabinet and just chucked it like a frisbee.
Well, I just wanted to show off my Blocked by Pablo T-shirt, but otherwise I'm fine.
Stand up. Oh, that's right. You're not on camera. I'm sorry. You know what though? I retweeted. You son of a gun.
You did.
You know what? You don't even deserve to be on camera. With another shameless plug by Pete Fletzer on a joint show for his frickin' merch. Oh
Even
man!
when I'm not on camera,
he finds a way. You know what? I'll say this much though, and this is how we'll wrap it up. You definitely need to go check out Pete on Twitter. I know I saw this on Around the Galaxy's Twitter account. It is a great shirt. It says Star Wars blocked. It's Star Wars blocked by Pablo. It's a great shirt. And honestly, if this shirt doesn't sell for you, Pete, I think you should just give up.
I will shut down the T-Public.
Just shut it down.
If this one doesn't work out.
Honestly, what your goal is you need Pablo to buy that shirt and wear it for you.
I feel like Pablo's the kind of guy who, if he saw it, he would buy it.
I feel like you can't call up Sansweet and a couple of your other contacts. You can't get a shirt to Pablo. You don't think?
I might be able to. Let me see what I can do. That would be fun, actually. I think he would have a laugh with it.
I think he'd have a good laugh.
Or he would sue me. One of the two. Either way.
Let's try and avoid any kind of lawsuit here on Streaming Star Wars. We want to say a big thank you to you for joining us on this Saturday night, talking Clone Wars, the emotional swings, the action, the adventure, the cinematic thrills. That is Star Wars: The Clone Wars. 3 episodes remain. We close it all out on May the 4th. How fitting. Frammy in the live chat, there's an ATG merch store. What, has Peter never mentioned it? Oh, that's a joke. We know damn sure that Pete has mentioned his swag. That's how we're going to close it out this week for Streaming Star Wars. Thanks for making it special. The live chat was great. Make sure you find us, subscribe, check out the audio podcast, wherever you find audio podcasts. Just type in Around the Galaxy. You'll find Streaming Star Wars. We'll see you soon.